I think that's what audiences love about Scott Lang, and it's what Paul plays so well.
Right.
People have this relationship, this movie relationship with Paul Rudd. They feel like, oh, I'd like to hang out with that guy. I get him, and I think he would understand me. And he also reacts in these crazy situations the way that you or I would react if we were plopped down into a Marvel movie.
Peyton, amazing job on Ant-Man and the Wasp and Quantumania. I loved Quantumania. It's somewhere I absolutely want to explore more of. It's so beautiful and vast. And I have to ask, first question is there a part of Quantumania that you didn't get a chance to explore that you wanted to?
As we were designing all the different worlds or the sections of the quantum realm, there were definitely some environments that we, story-wise, just had to leave behind. But the artists, man, we had a team of insanely talented artists who were all working under Will Tay, our production designer. And they were tasked with sort of bringing some of the most whacked out science fiction conceits. As we were writing the script, we were also working with these designers, so they would feed each other, right? And so they would bring me some characters. It could be freedom fighters. And remember, these are got to be all different species and types of characters who have, their societies have been wiped out by Kang and they banded together. So this one is a little more steampunk, and this is a blobby character who looks like it's straight out of a Hanna-Barbera cartoon. And this is like, we wanted this really wide swath of design in the movie. And no idea was too crazy. And so that was an exhilarating thing, is to have all these artists bring you this incredible artwork. So I'm sure along the way there were characters and environments that we just didn't have room for.
Cassie really grows into her own as a character in Quantumania. Can you talk about what is her driving force that sets her apart from other young heroes that we've been introduced to in the MCU?
Cassie Lang, as we've seen in all the Ant-Man movies, she is Scott Lang's number one priority in life, right? He wants to be a good dad. In this movie now, she's 18 as a result of what's happened in Endgame. Like Scott suddenly, he's kind of still relating to her as a little girl, but she's a young woman now. And as a young woman, she has her own ideas of what it's like to be a hero or what injustices in the world might need dealing with. Or, her methods might be different than her dad's. She's also at an age where she's, critical of her dad. But I think what sets her apart is it's a family business, right? She's got Scott and Hope as a template, and she's got Janet and Hank as a template. And she happens to be embedded with, a handful of genius quantum scientists and a couple who've synthesized the original Pym particle. But she's just trying to figure it out, man. She's just trying to figure out how to be a good citizen of the world and what that means. Now, clearly, she's gotten access to this technology, and we find out a suit in this movie. But her arc is really like, she's an idealist, but now she's plopped down into the middle of this war in the middle of the quantum realm, and her ideals are going to be put to the test. And that seems unique, I think, in the MCU in terms of these characters, that she's part of the family business, but hasn't quite figured it out yet.
Absolutely. Now, I love the driving force behind Scott's heroism is fatherhood. Why is that such an important part of Scott's core?
Well, I think it really speaks to Scott. I've always talked about Scott Lang as being the everyman of the MCU, right? He's not a brilliant scientist or a billionaire. He doesn't have any superpowers. It's all about, him having access to the Pym particle technology. And I love that. It's relatable. I think that's what audiences love about Scott Lang, and it's what Paul plays so well.
Right.
People have this relationship, this movie relationship with Paul Rudd. They feel like, oh, I'd like to hang out with that guy. I get him, and I think he would understand me. And he also reacts in these crazy situations the way that you or I would react if we were plopped down into a Marvel movie. And I think that's part of the charm of it. So, for me, it's like, to have introduced that character and see that character grow throughout these three movies and the Avengers movie, it's really gratifying.
Now, Jonathan Majors is terrifying as Kang. He is incredible in this film. Can you talk about working with him to create this version of Kang and why he was chosen to be, this version was chosen to be the antagonist to Ant-Man specifically?
We knew if we were going to make a third Ant-Man movie, we needed to pit our heroes against a really all-timer, formidable antagonist. And there are a handful in the Marvel Comics universe, right? There's Loki,
sure.
Thanos, certainly, Doctor Doom, Galactus, but Kang the Conqueror is way up there.
Oh, yeah.
And it excited me to be the person who got to introduce Kang into the universe. when I cast Jonathan in the role, that was it, man. Like, I'd had my eye on Jonathan because he's been so good for so long, and he's having a moment now, right? But he takes it seriously, man, and he's like such a dedicated actor. He has the physicality that Kang needed, right? He's a conqueror. But he also, we talk so much about like how this guy experiences time in a loop, not in a straight line, and how he's had all these different experiences and what's it like to hang out with someone like that. It's scary. And he just got all of that and just ran with it. And of course, for an actor to be able to play the guy and then another guy and a guy who are variants, right? They're all technically Kangs, but they're all radically different characters.
I want to talk about MODOK because it's a character I've been anticipating for a while now in the MCU. And he's such a strange but fun character. And you guys tackle him in Quantumania. What inspired his connection to the Ant fam in this film?
We talked a lot about, as we were developing the story, MODOK has been waiting in the wings, I think, for a while. You know, I know there's been, Stephen Broussard would know this better than me, but there have been conversations for other movies about, can MODOK fit in here? What would that look like in live action? But then we hit on an idea of, as we were going to bring our family into the quantum realm in contact with Kang, how could Kang know about the Ant family? And then it occurred to me that, you know, what happens to Yellow Jacket at the end of the first Ant-Man is like, and it dawned on me, like, what if? And I pitched the idea to Stephen Broussard and then to Kevin, and we ran with it. And I remember calling Corey Stoll and sort of talking to him about, what if this happened, and him giggling on the other end lines, like, if you guys do that, I'm in. He loved it, because he's a comics nerd too. But yeah, we were able to do it, and I'm thrilled. It's such a crazy thing to have in this movie.
You know, I love the Ant-Man trilogy. I feel like it just gets better with every single movie, and Ant-Man's one of those characters that just has the most heart in the MCU for me. Going forward, are you wanting to continue Ant-Man's journey, or do you want to, create another pocket or work in another pocket of the MCU?
I'm a little superstitious, so it's hard to talk about until a movie comes out, like the possibility of another one. But I have loved working at Marvel, and again, there are other characters in that universe who I love who maybe haven't been introduced into the MCU yet. So I think, listen, I would leave the door open to anything, man. I love working with Kevin and with Stephen Broussard and everybody at Marvel. And this, with Ant-Man, we've been doing this together for 8 or 9 years at this point, and it's a family. Like, we've kind of all, grown up with these heroes and put them out there, and it's really gratifying.
Well, Mr. Reed, fantastic job on this film. I absolutely loved it. Great job, man.